What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Keon, back with another video. So the topic of today's video is how I'm going to lock in this next school year. So this past school year didn't go too good, but I have a plan to do way better next school year. So I'm gonna go ahead and begin. And I have many stickers to display my emotions as I'm going through this. This is presented by me. Alright, so to give some context, right? I'm Keon, if you didn't know. I go to University of South Florida. I'm even ripping it on my shirt right now. Um, and I'm majoring in biomedical engineering. So, so yeah, and this is me on the right. For more context, I have an out-of-state academic merit scholarship. Um, it's from my high ACT score, and this is basically the reason I'm going to the school because that knocked out a lot of money, and this information is helpful because I need to keep this GPA, which is a 3.0 GPA to keep the scholarship. Now, I'm not like I'm not dying. Like I don't have like a two point GPA or anything. But this is important to remember so it doesn't get to that point. You feel me? And I'm going to my second year of school. So I just had my freshman year. I'm going to discuss that a little bit, but this upcoming fall I'm heading to my sophomore year. I need to lock in next school year. Straight up. Alright. Here's the problems, right? Alright, so to give a little bit more context, I did not take calculus in high school. My senior year, I took pre-calculus online. I did not learn a single bit of information. I didn't learn any piece of math at all, actually. In fact, I might have lost more than I gained taking that course. And I got a really good grade on it. Don't know how. But yeah, so I'm going into freshman year. I have like no pre-calculus knowledge. I mean, I have no calculus knowledge or anything at all. I don't even know the things on the unit circle, if I'm being completely honest. And I see Calc 1, my teacher's out here going crazy on the board. I'm looking at it like it's hieroglyphics, right? I don't know how I passed Calc 1. I surprisingly got a good grade on Calc 1, and that was because my teacher was the best human being to ever walk this earth. But it ends up killing me in the end. So I don't know how I passed Calc 1. Everything was confusing. I like finally understood the most basic things like 2/3 into the semester, which at that point was just a bit too late, but I somehow clutched it up. And going into my spring semester, I somehow thought that meant I was good now. I was wrong. Um, Physics 1, I just took it this spring, genuinely almost killed me. I cannot explain. I don't even know what it was about physics. I did not understand anything at all, bruh. It wasn't even that hard when whenever I like look back on the test and stuff, I was just tripping so bad. Yeah. Okay. Third thing, I literally failed Calc 2. This latest spring, I got an F. Well, really a D or something, but it doesn't matter. I failed it. Okay. I was failing tests back to back. No, I first had a C, then a D, then an F, then another F. Yo, finals week, I was so locked in. I did not see like sunshine. I thought I was good. I failed the final, and that was the nail in the coffin. So yeah. Anyways, but here's the much bigger problem that we have than me like doing all that. The problem is, it wasn't even me like being lazy. I wasn't doing no type of like doom scrolling like that. I wasn't putting off homeworks. All my homeworks were turning on time. Everything I did on time, took notes in class, attended every single lecture. The problem is I put so much time and effort into all of these classes and these issues. Whenever like I failed the first exam, I'm trying to diagnose, like what's going on, trying to do something different next exam. It wasn't like I was just like BSing. I was not BSing. All right, each time I tried to change something, it went to the next test feeling confident. This is what literally killed me. Right. I would try to change up like my little like study method or something. I'd do more of this, do more of that, because that's after the first test, you can see how the test is, right? You can see the nature of the test. So, you fail the first exam, that's whatever, I know what to expect next time. But when you feel like the first two and you're still delusional like me, you're like, okay, I changed, I'm changing something. You go into the every single test feeling confident in the last test, then you end up failing every single test. Now, I don't mean I literally failed every single test, but like, I mean, that's how it feels because I basically did. Um, yeah. Oh yeah, I perform like worse each test, like consistently through all my classes. I don't know why. Yeah, well, not on chemistry. Chemistry was straight. It was just the math and the physics, to be honest. Um, all right, how this affected me. This is important. I felt dumb. Okay, all my classmates. All right, I'm a biomedical engineer. I may be an engineer, but that don't mean I'm a very smart person. All right, I look around at my classmates. They're like geniuses, like low key, high key, and like they don't even be looking like geniuses. They just are. Like they be in class playing like Clash Royale or something, then get hundreds on the test. I'm out here, putting my life on the line, failing tests. Yeah, so obviously I felt dumb. That was not good. I lost confidence in my studying. I remember finals week. Oh my god, finals week! I was into such a stump because I needed these finals to save my career. It wasn't even about my grades anymore. It was about my career as an engineer. I needed to do something. And when everything I've been doing is just not working, what the heck how am I gonna do anything? Like, how am I gonna study? It's too late at this point. Nothing's gonna just have a click. I'm not gonna have a little bright light bulb in my head, be like, oh, and then have a revolutionary change within myself during finals week when I'm already stressed. So, yeah, I lost confidence in my studying. I remember, like, I think it was a test before finals. I was just like, yo, let me just, like, not try that hard. You feel me? I'm gonna just barely do my homework just like everybody else. And somehow, because maybe I'm just overthinking it, like especially physics. I got the exact same grade on my test. Yeah. So whenever you get the exact same grade as when you study really hard and as you didn't, something in you is just your blood just kind of boils a little bit. Um. Oh my. My extracurriculars and my part-time job became the most stressful thing of my life. Um. Okay, my extracurriculars. I did flag football. I was in the flag football club, and we had like two practices a week, about one game every 1 or 2 months. It was pretty nice. Um, Other curricular was going to my student organization club. That wasn't that bad. It was just once a week. But I think the part time job. I think that was the worst because it was one point throughout the spring semester, this latest semester, where I was like, okay, like maybe I'm just not dedicating enough time for me to study, right? Because I'm just doing bad on myself by putting like giving me so many by scheduling so many hours at my job. Let me just cut down my hours, focus on my studying. Sounds good, right? Nah. That didn't change a thing, and I lost money. I did not physically lose money. I lost the opportunity to get more money, right? Because I cut my hours. When I cut my hours, my grades just kept falling. It didn't even matter. At the end of the year, I was just like, forget it. I'm gonna just get all my hours back because obviously it did nothing. I got my hours back. I did the exact same. So I was so mad because like I literally cut. Yo, it was like half the semester. Like I cut my hours at work. I was barely getting money like at all. You know, I'm broke out of state. My gas car mileage is literally death. All right, next point. Um, I was sad and felt powerless. You can imagine. Obviously, I was sad. You know, I'm getting cooked in these classes, especially math. I'm supposed to be an engineer. What kind of engineer is that? You feel me? I felt powerless. It seemed like no matter what I did, nothing would help. Plus, it's like track season and you're trying to get faster mid season. You can't do that mid season. It's like trying to get stronger mid football season. You don't do that. You just play the next game. You get stronger on the off season. You feel me? So I'm in the middle of my season. In fact, I'm in like playoffs, right? You know, we're talking about like near finals week where it really matters. I'm trying to get to that national championship, and you know, all I can do is sit back and spectate as I slowly get crumbled. All right, here's where my motivation is coming from. Right, first one is me at the beach with a Pinterest type post. I posted this to my Pinterest. Don't worry about it. But just worry about the quote. Every day is another opportunity. Okay. This is what keeps me going. If if this didn't exist, I could not keep going. Okay. Because every day is another opportunity. So, every day I can go to sleep with my failures and I can wake up and continue living life. And I think that's like the greatest gift that I have right now is the ability to get up, kind of forget about what happened and just like continue living my life. Here's another quote that says, reminder that you can just wake up and decide to lock in. This is basically what I'm going through right now. I woke up and I said, bro, I gotta lock in. Bad. Okay. All right. So, in order to change, right, the first step is obviously reflections and honest reflections. Not just, oh, like, it was just too hard, like, the classes were difficult, my teachers were bad. I can't put anything on any professor, even though one of my professors was literally rated like a two. I'm not gonna get into that, but it's all on me. You feel me? I gotta keep it real with myself. Though I was studying long periods, they were not efficient, and I feel like this is obvious. They couldn't have been efficient because I was studying for like kind of long times, and I was like studying like a lot, like as soon as I could, but they weren't efficient because for some reason I wanted to do like I wanted to do some easy type of studying, right? Like I wanted to like look at review the slides, like feel like I'm studying. And I promise you that works for like chemistry. That worked for chemistry, but for math, physics, that didn't do nothing, right? Like looking at the concepts, like and all that, like I had that down, right? You drop an apple, that's gravity. That's easy, right? Now, if we're talking the speed velocity at which the gravities, see, I'm not doing all that, and I didn't do all that. I should have been doing all that. Yes. Yeah, here we go. I focus more on the information than practice questions. Now I was a concept demon, right? Even in Calc 2, where I like really didn't understand that much. But I understood the concept because, I was doing a lot of research, on the topics, stuff like that. I was kind of studying this like it was a humanities class. Um, and I learned that it's just wasn't. Now, obviously, I had more of these reflections after the semester was over, because like like once you're in it, it's hard to get that bird's eye view of basically basic reflection. You can't reflect while you're in a situation. It's a bit difficult. Oh my god, my sleep routine was so cooked that this probably constituted to like 60% of my issues. My sleep routine was so bad, um, and it's all my fault. It's all my fault. I had 8 a.m.s like every other day, and I like 8 a.m.s because they keep me productive and such. But when I'm going to sleep at like 1 or 2 every night, and I'm having an 8 a.m., I'm having another class, then I gotta study, and I have to like go to work or something, and then I have to like have flag football practice at night, and then study right before bed. Did I even mention eating? Yeah, my sleep is necessary. I need like 8 hours. I'm the type of guy. It's like if I get 6 hours, I'm gonna feel that 2 hours, and it's gonna hit hard. Um, it don't even get me started on trying to play catch up with the sleep. I can't catch up my sleep until like the weekend, and on the weekend I'm trying to study because I'm trying to catch back up. It's just cooked. Oh, I almost fell asleep half the time I was studying. Now half the time is a bit of exaggeration. No, it's not. Um, now I wasn't just one eye open, like just like halfway on the freaking chair, pencil falling out the hand type of thing. But this is a direct consequence of my sleep routine. I lost focus while studying a lot, right? And I understand it now, but I should have been studying with more intention. Um, I thought studying was like a kind of like a passive activity, and that sounds stupid, right? But I mean, I don't know. I genuinely just thought that, like, I thought it was just a thing. You open the book up, you're just like da 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 da. Nah, like stuff I didn't want to do. My brain said, nah, it's not worth it, gang, and just halfway shut off. It's like trying to go on your phone and watch a video, and your brightness is on like 20%. That's how it felt studying. Oh my, that's a big one. Okay, I did not realize this until finals week. I did not look over any of my past tests. And you may think, oh, you're so lazy, right? How do you think you're gonna do better on the next if you don't look on the past test? First of all, I'm a little bit delusional, okay? And like every single time I got handed a test back, I literally put it in a folder and I said I'm gonna look at this later. Later never came because I was too worried about the next topics and the next concepts. So I ended up like not going through my past test, like almost at all. I look like low key. This is about 30% of it, cause not nah, that's too much. 20%, cause a lot of the questions ended up repeating on the other tests, and yeah, it's just looking at it now. That was just kind of dumb, but I gotta I gotta learn type stuff. All right, what I have realized over my long reflections, it's been about a good 2 months, 2.5 months since my semester. I realized some things. I've been thinking about it nonstop because my life is on the line. Basically, here's the first one. I just said this. I need to study with intention. All right. I put a comment here. I don't know why. Yeah, I need to study with intention. Basically, I need to set realistic times for studying. I'm not gonna study 6 hours at a time. That's just stupid. I need to study. Actually, I need to talk about this. I study more productively in like 30 minutes to an hour than I would do like 5 hours studying. And obviously that sounds like common sense now, but back then it didn't because I was delusional. And yeah. So anyway, studying with intention. I'm gonna gotta go with studying with like, yo, I'm about to do this. I'm about to do this. I'm doing this, and I need to do more practice questions, like actual things. I just can't just be reading and just being like, oh yeah, I got that. One throw out one ear and out the other type stuff. So yeah, even though I had all the distractions out the way while studying, I was still not locked in. And this is kind of hard to explain because I can have the phone away. That's not a problem. I'm not no like. It's not hard for me to like stop doom scrolling or anything, right? I can turn the music off. I like silence. There's a difference between you got all the distractions out the way. You're looking at the homework. You're looking at the questions. There's a difference between that and genuinely locking in on it. And locking in is a like physical activity, right? And I don't even know how to explain it, but there's just a difference, and that goes back to intention. That's literally the only difference, and that's something that I just did not do, right? Like it's like that gear switch, like like a light switch. Like the light wasn't on. Like the room was dark, the room was clean, the light just wasn't on. The blinds were even open. The lights just weren't on, basically. So consistency beats long study sessions every single time. It was at the end of the spring semester. I talked to my roommate, and I was like, "Yo, like, genuinely, I think if I studied like 30 minutes for like each of my classes, like calc and physics and chem, if I just studied 30 minutes every single day, I'm not talking about homework. I'm talking about just pure studying. If I studied 30 minutes every single day, I would have straight A's. And 30 minutes is kind of low, so it does sound delusional, but still, like, it would be concepts like these concepts. Like, it's not hard. You just kind of forget them the next day. Like through lecture, I'm a lecture demon. Like through lecture, I'd be like, I got it, because that's the short term memory. I'm good at that short term memory stuff. When I get home, I mean, when I get to my dorm, it's the next day. Information's gone. I have like an automatic, filter. Try to remember important things. That was not important to me. Okay, and then I kind of realized like it's kind of like learning a language, right? You gotta kind of hear it every day. You kind of gotta work with it every single day, and that's what I was missing. I wasn't speaking the language of calc and physics at all. Like I didn't have that type of mindset. I didn't have that type of approach to the questions because I mean I didn't consistently do them. Looking at it now, it's just kind of like simple, like yeah, obviously, right? But I don't know. I had a mindset of long study sessions, the grind. God knows what. Um, it came to a point at the end of my semester. I realized that I literally just said this. Okay. All right. Next. Oh yeah. A realistic routine of me doing a quiz, exam questions with no help was what I needed. This is honestly what I needed. I think if I just allocated 30 minutes a day to, a good three of my hardest classes, of me just going back to my quiz questions, my homework questions, my past first exam, and just working through the problem. Even if I already seen the solution, I just need to cover up the solution and do the problem again. That was something I just didn't do with no help. Oh no, with no help, no AI, no nothing, bruh. That was what I needed. I needed to just sit there and just like have my brain, put the pieces together. That's what I needed. All right, active recall. The thing I should have been doing, right? All right, so active recall. My definition, right? Where you force your brain to find the answers during studying without using any notes or guides. So I think this had to do with my sleep routine and probably also me being really busy. No, I don't know if I can blame it on that, but it was just me. Okay. Um. So yeah, I did not do active recall at all. Right. Like every time I studied, I would have my notes with me, and I put it away for like 30 seconds at most to do one question that I just did before. So really, I'm just using short-term memory again. Um, yeah. So my study sessions were actually just pretty easy, and I didn't realize that they probably shouldn't be that easy. And it's sad that I kind of just not realized this. But yeah, yeah. So the struggle of the brain to find the information will help the information stick. I don't know where I learned this at, but I don't know if I was reading a book or something. But I read a book about like how like forgetting someone's name or something like actually helps you remember it more, because after you forget it and after you hear it again, you end up retaining that information for like longer. So like applying that to like studying, right? You're supposed to forget the information, and this is something I didn't even realize. You're supposed to forget it. Of course, you're gonna forget it. We're stuffing information into your brain. That's what we're doing. So you gotta study it again. That's why that's why they say you're supposed to see the material like 3 times. Before class, during class, after class, and that's just for the first lesson. You're supposed to see it multiple times because you're gonna forget it again, and then you're gonna see it. You're gonna be like, oh, like that's how it sticks. Here's what hindered me. I honestly forgot what I wrote for this, but it wasn't a matter of intellect or discipline much. I had poured into studying and convinced myself I was ready for the exams. I was delusional. Okay. And I will say that confidently because I believed in my heart that I would do better each exam. Actually, I wasn't delusional. I was really confident. And that in itself is delusional. But I never gave up though. Um Obviously I failed, but I'm never giving up, and I did not give up, and I won't ever give up. All right. So everything that hindered me was obviously myself, and that's something I'm taking responsibility for. Yeah, I didn't keep testing myself after I got a concept for the first time. Now, obviously, like I did, like I studied it, but like I wasn't just notes gone, sit here with the paper and start thinking. Right? I wasn't doing that. I'm gonna be honest. Um, oh my god, the practice test. Oh, I was a practice test demon. Right? If I got something right on the practice test, I literally scratched it out. I said I'm good. How much different can the practice test be from the actual test? And I got away with this in chemistry a lot because they gave us so much material to study from, and I mean I literally only used the practice test, and it was like the same type of. In chemistry, they have like math problems, right? But there's only like 3 formulas for them for like each test, so it's like it could be one of the three. You plug in the number, plug in chug, and like they barely switch up the questions. It's just gonna be like Fahrenheit degrees, it's something like that. They barely switch it up. Now we're talking actual math and physics. Oh my god. I thought I had a concept down in physics. They hit you with a wrecking ball because you genuinely have to understand what's going on whenever they give you like something different. Now, obviously, I can't even think of an example off the top of my head. But calculus is just, I don't even need to explain that. All right. There are so many concepts, especially Calc 2, which is the hardest calc by majority opinion, because there's so many concepts in it, so many formulas. You can't just memorize formulas. That obviously got cut off. That got patched, right? That memorization stuff is patched. It takes actual understanding now, which I learned the hard way. So shoulda, woulda, coulda done. You know, shoulda did that. Woulda, coulda did that. You feel me? Coulda got some more sleep. Coulda got some more snooze. I coulda did better. I coulda woke up happier. If I just look back at my practice test, I coulda reflected more. If I just went some more office hours, I coulda. Nah, nothing's gonna change it, right? This is a hard thing. I really had to just sit there and accept. I really just failed this class. I've never failed a class in my life, right? I used to like math. I'm an engineer, and I just failed a math class in my freshman year. And then I'm talking to upperclassmen. They're telling me these classes, it just gets worse from there. They're like, oh yeah, Calc 2 is easy. It don't matter though, because nothing I can do really can really change it. So if anyone's seen Attack on Titan, Eren Yeager, I just keep moving forward. This is obviously my motto for life in itself. I just keep moving forward. I love this quote by Charles Swindoll. I didn't even know he said the quote, but life is 10% what happens to you, 90% how you react. Now, obviously, my 10%, I mean, my 90% is me failing in the class, which is just my fault. But, in present me now, that's something I just can't control. So that's something that happened to me. I'm talking about me right now. So even though, me doing all that, that was just completely my fault. It's now me to control what I can't control. And that's what I'm gonna go into next. What I can control is how to do next semester. And obviously that starts now. Alright, what can I do now? I cannot push the responsibilities of changing my ways towards the future me. Because obviously that'll just get me cooked. And I'm a little bit smarter than that, right? I know how it feels to be literally like starting to mid semester and everything feels like it's falling apart and you just have no choice, which is literally just get through it. It's like having an injury mid season and you just have to keep playing. Because what are you going to do? Give up and let your team lose? No. I have to be the change I want, right? Obviously, I want to be smarter. I want to be more productive in my studies. I want to be successful, right? And I have to be that change because, no one's just gonna push a button on me and, that's just gonna happen, right? Here's what I can and what I will do. Now, obviously, these are stuff that I've been doing since I've made this presentation, and probably before I made it. But I'm just listing it out. All right, develop a studying habit in my online class. Now, I have an online class I'm taking right now, and I'm studying like really very hard for it, and I'm studying like every single day. Now, I don't mean no 5 hours a day type stuff because I'm not that crazy, um, but just consistent, right? Just at least 30 minutes a day, and that's just something I have to develop. And so far, it's been obviously it's humanity, so like it's not hard, difficult, or anything, but it's a bit unique. Like it's a bit uncomfortable. That's the word I'm trying to find. It's just uncomfortable. No, I don't mean like squirmish, like I'm getting tickled type uncomfortable. I just mean like for my brain, it's just out of my habit. You know what I mean? When you're changing a habit, it's gonna be a little bit uncomfortable, and that's just how that feels. Continue to learn study methods. Only study method I've ever heard of was like the Pomodoro method. Um, I tried that the other day, and I was like, oh yeah, like it's pretty good, right? Because normally, most of the time, I just set a 2 hour timer and just say do as much as you can. Obviously, I spend the first 15 minutes locked in, then I zone out for 45 minutes, and then I spend another 15 minutes locking in. So really, all I did was like 30 minutes, but it was really like more like 20 minutes. So yeah, I'm gonna continue to learn more study methods. Obviously, I'm gonna get some books and stuff like to keep learning about that. Oh, this is a big one. Rebuild my foundation in calculus and physics. Obviously, I've never had a foundation in physics, but I'm mainly talking about calculus and just math in general because I'm gonna have to take hard in math. This is something I'm doing currently, right? Just slowly rebuilding my foundation, looking at this stuff. I'm going over pre-calculus. Like I went over pre-calculus today, right? Like, yo, I'm getting cooked on unit circle. I'm telling you, I did not know anything on the unit circle going into this spring semester at all. And oh my god, when we had to do like the radians, I don't even know what that thing was called. Oh my god, oh my god. Okay, polar coordinates. Okay, so I didn't know anything on the unit circle at all. You know, no pi over 6, pi over 4, pi over 3. All I knew was 0, pi, pi over 2, 3, 4, pi over 3. I'm pretty sure that's it. Yeah, I learned all that from a 5-minute YouTube video in the middle of my spring semester. So when I get introduced to polar coordinates, which is part like unit 5 or something, like near the end, I got cooked so bad. It's not even funny. Yeah. Anyways, I'm rebuilding my foundation in calculus physics. I even went back to algebra for a second, but I was like, nah, it wasn't that bad. But oh yeah, prioritizing my sleep. It's something I've been doing now too. Sleeping early, waking up early, no in between, no excuses. I have more early classes this semester, and I just like early classes because it pushes me to get out. And I'm more productive in the mornings anyway. Now, when I don't get sleep, I'm not productive anything because I spend the entire day trying to get more sleep. So yeah, I'm prioritizing sleep, which is prioritizing my life. Another thing is staying positive. This is a big one because it's easy to like not stay positive and be like, oh, I'm cooked. But you always have a choice between staying positive and staying negative. Cup half full, cup half empty. Now you can be like, now if your cup is fully empty, I don't know. But my cup is not fully empty though. My cup is like 3/4 full. It's not 1/4 empty. So that's what I can do right now. Here's a big thing, which is letting go. And this is difficult. This will be difficult for anybody, right? But it's difficult for me, not extremely, but it's just something I have to remember. A big part of me changing my ways is to fully let go and detach myself from my failures. I can't stay with my failures and be like, oh my God, I failed. I'm a failure. I can't be attaching no labels to myself. I have to detach that from me. And I have to look at it from like a, oh yeah, that's what I did. Let me just not do that again. You know what I mean? But I can't attach failure to myself, even though I literally failed. It's just something I have to let go, in order for me to change. Yeah, I can't put blame on myself because that wouldn't serve. I don't even know what I was trying to say. That just wouldn't help, right? Even though I take responsibility, there's a difference between responsibility and just self blame. Because self blame, wait, maybe that's the same thing, but I'm thinking of like self shame, right? But the word blame in itself is just pretty negative, and it's just some. And when you're trying to change for the better, saying something negative about yourself just wouldn't really help. So yeah. Um. All right. So yeah, you kind of gotta know how like knowing that you have to change and not shaming yourself for what you like, what how it was. There's a line, right? Now, even though I'm not like I shouldn't, just be depressed about how I feel. That doesn't mean I'm just gonna stay like that and do nothing about it. That means like I can't keep things the way they are, and I gotta change them. All right, and you kind of gotta do both. You gotta let go. Can't put the shame on yourself, but you also gotta, you know, change. Yeah. So I have my experience. I'm gonna learn from it. Then I just go from there. All right. Here's the conclusion. So as I continue my journey, I want to stay positive, keep myself accountable, and remain focused. moving forward through the semester, I'm gonna do an update and I'm gonna see if my efforts has served me well, right? But for now, I'm gonna focus on day by day, doing what I can do, because that's what I can. That's the only thing I can do, right? I can't teleport to mid fall, be like, hey guys, I'm doing great. Nah, right? I gotta put in the work each day. I can't skip out on this work I'm putting in, and fast forward be like, oh yeah, I'm like that now, you know. And that's something I realized. Like, I gotta put the work in, put the work in each day, every single day, and then slowly, like, it builds over time. I can look back and be like, oh yeah, like I did that, and I'm like that now. That's the goal, but it's about the journey because I'm continuing this journey. My freshman year, heading to my sophomore year, I learned a very valuable lesson, and I failed. I failed for my first time. Right, took the L, but I learned from the L, and I learned this, and I know this now, which means I can apply it. Which also means no excuses. I got to keep holding myself accountable for what I'm doing, and do what I can. See how it goes, and thank you for watching. I'm out.